Jedi, the $10 billion contract that was awarded last year to Microsoft with a whole bunch of controversy around it, has been basically blown up. They're starting over, new name, new contract, and totally new scenario. Pat, I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, Daniel, this was rife with controversy. So think, 2.5 years ago, this was awarded to Amazon, and that probably means that they had been working on this for 2 years before that. So let's just round that out to 5 years. If you look back 5 years ago, there really was only one I would say, credible vendor for planet scale IaaS, and that was Amazon. So I don't think anybody was surprised when that happened, except, of course, for Oracle and Microsoft. And what happened is they both filed lawsuits, and then we can argue whether Trump was involved in this or not, with Trump's dislike of Bezos and the Washington Post. But what happened is it swung over then to Azure, and then over the time by which I would say the first Jedi was submitted, and when it was moved over to Azure did become a credible planet scale IaaS player. So it was pretty smart of Azure to do that. They had to make a lot of investments. They had to build out a lot of different products, and Microsoft does a lot of business with the federal government and the Department of Defense. If you look at the client-based solutions, i.e. PCs and things like that, it's all Microsoft. So they had a big footprint in there, and there's a lot of Microsoft on-prem infrastructure as well. So it totally made sense. So now, yeah, like you said, there really is no Jedi anymore. It was blown up, and it's called the JWCC, which is a great acronym, which I don't know what the heck that actually means. But anyways, I expect, Daniel, for this to also open itself up to likely players like Oracle. And I think if anything, this contract has gone multi-cloud. And it's funny, the big story might be that Jedi got blown up, but I think the biggest story from my analyst perspective is multi-cloud. And, it's funny, for, I don't know, 10 years, right? It's like, if it's not public cloud, it's junk, right? And then when AWS introduced their on-prem capabilities with Outposts, then nobody was debating the hybrid thing. But we were all still debating the multi-cloud thing. And I totally get it. Multi-cloud is hard, right? Essentially, if you want to go to two vendors and have multi-cloud, you have to have two different sets of people, because there's two different sets of processes to get in that, right? If you're going to do it the right way, you have a data fabric that's continuous. You have a security fabric, and you have single sign-on. So multi-cloud is tough, but I think this is a big market indication, I think, Daniel, that multi-cloud has arrived. I don't think this was some political thing. I think this is, I think multi-vendor and multi-cloud trumps the complexity of doing multi-cloud.
Yeah, I think it's some solid analysis. Was I surprised about this being blown up? No. I have to say this thing has been awarded to both companies at a different point of time. You were absolutely right. Rife with controversy. The Trump and Bezos contentious relationship certainly put more questions than answers for anyone that was speculating on the deal. The time it took for the original award to take place certainly gave Azure a runway to meet the technical requirements, and that is important. But I think you really hit it on the head, and I think if you're out there listening to this, trying to make heads or tails of it, multi-cloud isn't something that's just going to be an enterprise solution. Multi-cloud, and by multi-cloud, we mean, multiple public clouds, private clouds, mean, there's going to be an on-prem component. As companies realize that each public cloud provider has some certain unique services, data sovereignties, redundancies, geographics, there are different reasons to put different workloads in different clouds. And so the bar is going to be set. This new contract, I believe it's JWCC, it will be set. Companies like you mentioned, Oracle, IBM, Google are all going to want to have a chance to participate, and the bar will be more clear in this particular contract so that those companies know how to participate. I will say that the overwhelming perception at this point is that it is a two-horse race today for this contract, but I do believe the workloads will be doled out, will be distributed. They will happen to largely go to Amazon and Microsoft during the first award, but I could see this having a very evolutionary component where the award could be shifted and changed and expanded. And by the way, 10 billion, I think it gets bigger. I think it gets bigger because I think at one time that seemed really significant, but overall, in the end, not as significant as cloud scale for one of the world's largest government entities. So good stuff here. Interesting change and something I think we got to keep an eye on, Pat.